culpable homicide conviction. The Paralympian was last year given a 5-year sentence for killing his girlfriend Riva Steenkamp on Valentine's Day 2013. Now he faces up to 15 years in prison.
I conclude with the following order being to be made. 1. The first two questions of law reserved are answered in favour of the Director of Public Prosecutions. 2. The accused's conviction and sentence on count 1 are set aside and replaced with the following. Guilty of murder, with the accused having had criminal intent in the form of dolus eventualis. 3. The matter is referred back to the trial court to consider an appropriate sentence afresh in the light of the comments in this judgment.
Riva Steenkamp's mother was in court to hear the ruling, reportedly breathing a sigh of relief when the judgment was made. Pistorius is currently serving his sentence under house arrest at his uncle's home in Pretoria, but will appear in court again for resentencing at a future date.
All right, Joseph Scott, you covered this for HLN A to Z. What's your take on the reverse of this case, which they can only do out of the U.S. in terms of reversing the case?
Look, I'm no legal scholar. I defer to the STEAM panel on this, but from just the forensic standpoint, we recreated the scene at the Center for Applied Forensics at Jacksonville State. We mocked up a door and fired live rounds through the door. One of the most curious things about this whole case was the story that was coming out and the way the thing was handled. Lack of security around the scene. There were people that were allowed to traipse in and out. Things got kind of misaligned relative to the evidence, and there was never really like a firm reconstruction or a solid reconstruction that was performed by the state in this case to establish what had happened. It's almost like their skill level hasn't exactly risen to the occasion for what the standard is here in America and even in Great Britain and Canada. So that was kind of shocking for us because, we discovered a few things relative to this. The biggest bone of contention was he wearing his prosthetics when he fired, or which goes to this idea that he was able to prepare himself, stand at the door, fire through the door, or was he not using his prosthetics, which reduces his height by almost 2 feet? So it was very compelling to us, just to kind of recreate this thing at, a distance of, 6,000 miles away. It just was a little bit of information that we had. I was absolutely flabbergasted when the judgment originally came back, and he was found guilty of this lesser charge. It harkens back to me being an American to the Amanda Knox case, where they're allowed to try people over and over. And I know it's not exactly the same thing, but for me as a layperson, when it comes to law, it's almost alien. I'd love to hear what our two friends have to say about this.
Alex Sanchez, let's hear your take on the reverse.
Yeah, I mean, this case highlights the significant difference between our system of justice in our country and the justice system over there in South Africa. If a person is found not guilty in a court of law, either by a jury or by a judge, that's it. You can't appeal a not guilty verdict in a criminal case. So if a person is found not guilty, a prosecutor can't go to a higher court and say, no, wait, you should find him guilty. It doesn't work like that here. It's final. Over there, they have a different system. The judge found him not guilty. The prosecutor appeals, and then a higher court finds him guilty. Now, I agree with Joe. I was astonished also. I thought that guy should have been found guilty from the word go. His story was preposterous. It was outrageous. The forensic did not support his particular argument, but a judge found him not guilty. And I'm uncomfortable with the concept that you can appeal to a higher court to overturn a lower court's judgment. But that's the system that they have over there, and if they're happy with that system, great. We don't have that system here. Our system is different. I prefer our system.
Yeah.
Bob, your thoughts on the way they do their system there, and overall, did they get it right the second time?
I couldn't agree with Alex more. I mean, the notion that the prosecution gets a right to appeal a verdict after a judge or a jury issues it is obviously completely foreign, and to me, for lack of a better term, insane. Your system will never stop hearing appeals over and over and over again. When do cases actually end? It just again, it doesn't add up to me. I mean, from the get-go, everyone's had their opinion as to the evidence in this case. South Africa has it where there's the judge and the two assistants who sit next to the judge and chime in with regards to the evidence, but it's the judge who makes the overall decision. And in this case, the judge ruled not for murder. And again, was it because Oscar Pistorius is one of the most famous people in South Africa? We'll never know. But you're dealing with one of the most corrupt judicial systems in any country in South Africa. There were reports of that stemming back from years and years. So I don't think we're ever going to know, the rationale behind half of this stuff as it's, being reported over here in the United States. But, the higher court has spoken and reinstated the verdict, and that's their laws. And, they viewed it differently. And unfortunately for Mr. Pistorius, he may be going back to prison.
Yeah.
Well, he's not going to be going back anytime soon.
No, because we'll appeal again.
Because he's on the astounding amount of bail of $700. No. That's the amount of bail he's on. They released him on $700 bail. Did you know that?
That's
yeah.
I don't even think I can respond to that.
He's probably arguably one of the wealthiest people in South Africa. Other than like the Beers family or somebody, this guy's got a ton of money set aside. But Jordan, what I'd like to tell you is I'll be happy to send you some of the still images that we took at JSU of the crime scene reconstruction, and you can post them up on Facebook for your fans to see. And they're not doing any good for us, but it'll be a good, maybe a good education for our listeners, just so that they can see some of the laser recreations that we did with the firing through the door, and they can get an idea for the difference of the deflection angles on him standing fully erect on prosthetics as opposed to being, and I hate using this term, but they said that's what he uses, standing on his stumps. It always kind of gave me the willies, but he walked around on his stumps. So we approximated his height on his stumps and fired a weapon relative to that. So I'll be glad to shoot those to you, and you can post them up at your convenience.
Sounds good. Wife accused to plot to kill her husband. She's going to get another crack at it. Here's the story. We'll talk on the other side.
Palm Beach, Florida. Mansions face the shoreline. Pricey jewels fill the store windows. Bentleys dot the boulevards. But just down the road, the bling disappears as if a wave swept it away.
If Palm Beach is high-end Top Chef, Boynton Beach is Meatloaf.
A tropical blend of strip malls, side by side with palm trees, retirees, and young folks just starting out. It's home to petite, soft-spoken Dalia Dippolito. She is Boynton Beach's most unlikely and notorious celebrity.
I didn't do anything.
The wrong kind.
Miss Dippolito, is your husband Michael?
Her road to infamy began with this video. It looks like police telling Dalia her husband of just 6 months was murdered.
Okay, I'm sorry to tell you, ma'am, he's been killed.
But watch closely, because nothing in this case is what it seems.
Try to calm down.
Turns out police are duping Dalia. That whole crime scene, it's fake. Police claim Dalia ordered a hit on her husband and that they have hidden camera video to prove it.
Nobody's going to be able to point a finger at me.
First comes love, then comes marriage, then murder. This story was on newscasts everywhere.
Dalia Dippolito, she is the Boynton Beach newlywed.
Caught on tape taking a contract out on her husband.
The hitman turned out to be an undercover cop.
Police staged a fake murder scene.
For 6 years, hounded by the press, but never saying a word. Until now.
walking on the sidewalk right now? This doesn't happen very often.
No, this doesn't happen at all. This is the first time I've had a walk in a long time.
Yeah, your every move is monitored.
She's under house arrest, accused of solicitation to commit murder, tethered to an ankle bracelet.
That's what it looks like, and it doesn't come off at all.
She says she's on medication for what is unsurprising, depression and anxiety, and that faith is what gets her through each day. Her favorite escape? Listening to worship music. Her favorite band? Hillsong.
All the songs are just about people going through struggles. I feel like I'm, casting away the negativity and just really bringing in light.
What's been the hardest part?
Not knowing when it's over, not being able to leave, watching everybody around me being able to come and go as they want, and I can't do that, and just trying to be happy for them as they're coming back and forth and stuff.
Her downfall began, she says, the day she met what she thought was her dream man.
What was your initial impression of Mike Dippolito?
Charming.
He was a workout fanatic and self-employed marketer, and more than a decade older. But no matter, they had instant chemistry.
What drew you to him?
He was really, really engaging, and I felt a really strong connection.
We seemed to hit it off really quick.
What do you think Michael saw in you?
My personality.
I guess we were active sexually, that seemed to be on point.
Well, there was that. And of course, Mike had a Porsche, seemed to have plenty of money, and a nice new condo in this complex, Renaissance Commons. What better setup to start a new life?
I would say I was naive in that I just never imagined something as crazy as what happened would happen. You would never see that coming.
Indeed. Who would have imagined that the Dippolitos would be a duo on the tip of so many tongues?
Dalia Dippolito.
Dalia Dippolito.
When people hear the name Dalia Dippolito, what do you think comes to mind?
Everything negative. All the headlines, the person they're describing, it's definitely not me.
When Dalia sat down with us for her first television interview, she wanted to talk about a very different Dalia. A girl with a normal upbringing who danced, played sports.
I had a really great childhood, happy, had a lot of friends.
She went to Catholic high school, then on to college, and soon after got a real estate license. A career choice as natural in South Florida as sunscreen at the beach. For someone with a personality like she describes.
I didn't have a hard time getting along with people.
Shirley didn't have trouble getting along with Mike. The two lovebirds were so happy dating, it was only a small issue that he was, married to someone else.
I was told that he was going through the divorce proceedings.
Would you have had a problem had that not been the case, if he just was a married guy who was looking for some fun on the side?
Yes.
Mike had a past, but he says so did Dalia. Mike says Dalia wasn't just selling real estate, she was selling herself as an escort.
Well, I didn't meet her in church. That's obvious. Needless to say, I was married. I made a bad decision. I called her an escort, and she came.
Okay, so it may not have been exactly a fairy tale romance, but Mike says he fell for her regardless. And just a few months later, he got divorced, and they wasted no time. 5 days later, they were married.
Why rush into the marriage? Why say, okay, your divorce is final, let's run to the courthouse and get married?
It clearly wasn't well thought out.
But from all appearances, it was working out. By day, the newlyweds exchanging love notes.
We weren't like the party type or anything like that, and so I liked the homey type of, environment.
Their nights, Dalia says, often spent snuggling at home watching reality TV. Shows like Cheaters and Real Housewives of New York.
Hey, no, it's not right.
Are you gonna fight with me now?
Did Mike love it? Did you love it? Did you love it together?
He liked the fact that people would be on these shows and essentially get paid to do nothing. It's just watching them at home or on their couch.
Back then, it was all innocent fun, she says. Two people just dreaming together of being on TV.
He said, if they could do it, if you're watching these people do it, there's no reason why, we can't do it. We look better than those people, and why not?
But Dalia says there was a darker side to Mike, something he was hiding, something big.
After months of being together, his probation officer showed up at our home, and I had no idea who it was. When he told me, he just completely downplayed everything.
She says Mike failed to mention he was a convicted felon. Years ago, he'd been to prison for fraud after scamming investors out of tens